Calling this meeting of the South River Mayor and Borough Council meeting number 16 on October 24th, 2022 to order. Roll call.
Mayor Krenzel.
Here.
Councilwoman Ballas.
Here.
Councilman Gindi.
Here.
Councilman Krajenski.
Here.
Councilwoman Mira.
Here.
Councilman Oliveira.
Here.
Council President Ciula.
Here.
And so that we're legal, could you please do the statement of notice of publication?
In compliance with Chapter 231 of Public Law of 1975, notice of this meeting to be held at the Criminal Justice Building, 61 Main Street, South River, or remotely via Zoom has been published in the Home News Tribune on January 6, 2022, posted on the Municipal Building Bulletin Board, the Borough website, and the front door of the Criminal Justice Building at 61 Main Street, South River.
Okay, now we're legal. Please stand for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. You're asked to remember in your thoughts and prayers former Mayor Regis Wailuda and Yanita Click, who was killed in a horrible car accident. Thank you. Please be seated. Our regular attorney, Andrea Wyatt, will not be here tonight. Jean Cipriani of the law firm will be taking her place. We have two proclamations. The Family Court Awareness Month proclamation. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll just highlight it. It's whereas the mission of the Family Court Awareness Month Committee is to increase awareness on the importance of a family court system that prioritizes child safety and acts in the best interest of children. And whereas the mission of the FCAMC is fueled by a desire to create awareness and change in the family court system for the estimated 58,000 a year children ordered into unsupervised contact with physically or sexually abusive parents, to increase awareness on the importance of empirically based education, to increase awareness on the importance of using scientifically valid, evidence-based treatment programs and services, to educate judges and other family court professionals on evidence-based, peer-reviewed research. Now, therefore, I, Mayor John Krenzel, hereby declare the month of November to be Family Court Awareness Month. Another proclamation, very appropriate on this day of Diwali. Whereas the Borough of South River is proud to celebrate Hindu Heritage Month during the month of October. Today we are honored to recognize and applaud the extraordinary accomplishments of Hindu Americans. And whereas Hinduism is the third largest religion in the world, with 1 billion devotees worldwide and 4 million in the United States, and whereas the Hindu heritage, culture, traditions, and values provide invaluable solutions to many of life's problems and often serve as a source of inspiration, reflection, and contemplation for the millions of individuals who look to the teachings of Hinduism for guidance. And whereas during the month of October 2022, the Hindu community in the Borough of South River will collectively celebrate its heritage by focusing on its culture and diverse spiritual traditions rooted in India. And whereas the Borough of South River is proud to celebrate the annual Hindu Heritage Month and commemorate the essential contributions, sacrifices, and accomplishments that Hindu Americans have made to the Borough of South River, now therefore be it resolved that I, John M. Krenzel, Mayor of the Borough of South River, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2022 as Hindu Heritage Month, and I call this observance in attention to all of our citizens. The Borough of South River continues to welcome immigrants, serve our diverse residents, and take pride in the cultures represented by our residents. We don't have anything for our agenda session. We will go into close at the end of the meeting. We do have one ordinance, second reading, 2022-34. Madam Clerk.
2022-34, an ordinance of the Borough of South River, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, amending the Borough Code of the Borough of South River so as to amend Chapter 99 entitled Alarm Systems.
Make a motion, waive the full reading.
Second. Motion has been made to waive the full reading by Councilman Ciula, seconded by Councilwoman Ballas. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? The ayes have it. Opening this up to the public. On this ordinance alone, that's all we are asking for people to come forward and speak. You please give your name and address if you have any questions or comments concerning this ordinance. On first call, second call, third call. Motion to close by Mr. Gindi, seconded by Mr. Krajenski. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? The ayes have it. Your pleasure on the ordinance?
Motion to move.
Motion by Mr. Gindi, seconded by Mrs. Ballas. to move the ordinance. Discussion? Roll call.
Councilwoman Ballas? Councilman Gindi?
Yes.
Councilman Kerchensky?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira?
yes,
Councilman Olivera?
Yes.
Council President Siula?
Yes.
Okay, the ordinance has been adopted. Moving on to the agenda with reports, we begin as we traditionally do, our borough engineer. Good evening, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody. The 2020-2021 roads is just punch list items at this point. The 2022 local aid program roads, we have the pre-construction meeting tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Local aid, we haven't heard anything from the DOT yet, but I would think it would be coming soon. The substation, we have the SCADA system and the contact assemblies for T2 load tap changers on as a change order on your agenda. And well number 2, we'll be picking the bid date this week, get that advertised for the air gap and the backflow preventer. And once that's out to bid, we'll dive into the sodium hypochlorite storage facility and move that along. And that is it, sir.
Okay, any questions for our engineer? Thank you, Bruce. Mr. Zenga? Okay.
All right, thank you. A couple items on the agenda. The first one is a transfer of 2022 budget appropriations that will be effective November 1st of 22, which is in accordance with the state statute. Second one is approving the borough's personnel manual. This is updated every 3 years. Majority of the changes came from our labor attorney. They were all federal and state laws that have changed in the last 3 years. The bulk of them related to Family Medical Leave Act and domestic violence policies. You also have a resolution approving the best practice checklist that we do every year. There was 56 questions, 42 of them was scored, and you needed a 24 or greater to get your final state aid, which we have. And the final thing is the borough's tax sale ends this Thursday at 8:30 a.m. All the information's on the borough website for the tax sale. That's it.
Any questions for our CFO? Our our fire chief is here. Would you care to comment? Say anything? Yes? No? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Currently, all units are in service. We have multiple items being sent out for scheduled testing, which will be conducted over the next 3 weeks. This weekend, on Saturday and Sunday, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Jackson Street Firehouse headquarters, we will have a food drive. We're going to be basically collecting canned food and boxed food. All donations will be given directly over to the food bank. We need to make sure that we keep their shelves stocked over the next couple of weeks, especially now that we're coming closer to Thanksgiving and Christmas and the holidays, so please keep that in mind. We do have our fit testing scheduled for our fire department. That will be this Thursday and this Saturday, but we will have everything taken care of. There are no issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our head of DPW.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The fall hydrant flushing starts this Monday coming up, the 31st, and ends November 17th. The information can be found in the borough calendar. It'll be on the website, our Facebook page, and we'll also be sending out nixles weekly. And also, if you haven't picked up your leaf bags yet, we'll be handing them out at the recycling center starting on this Saturday from 8 to 12 and going till November 26th. And also, the valve on Virginia and George Street is scheduled to be repaired on Monday the 31st, weather permitting. That's all I have, Mayor.
Anything for our DPW? No? Chief?
Can you hear me, Mayor?
Yes?
All right. Thank you. As what the chief was saying for the South River Fire Department, we're having our Cram the Cruiser as well. We're having it the following week on November 5th, right here in front of police headquarters, between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. And that's to benefit the South River Food Bank. So if you have any food that you want to donate, please drop that off. I'd also like to thank the chief for Saturday for helping us out with the traffic safety for the homecoming parade, and Councilman Olivera. We didn't have enough officers to close off some of the streets, but we did make sure that the children were safe by making sure that all the vehicles that were coming down Main Street, on Hillside, and on Reed Street were stopped and pulled over to the side of the roadway before we left. Finally, the last thing I have is, this is good that there's a lot of people here. We are running a program called Clean Out Your Closets. If you have any gently worn or new shoes that you'd like to donate or you'd like to get rid of, please bring them down here. We have a box that's in front of headquarters. We'll be collecting these shoes. It's a fundraiser. The money that we make from these shoes that we're giving to the organization will help fund all of our community policing programs, such as Coffee with a Cop, the torch run, the free throw basketball tournament, the bicycle rodeo. It's an easy lift. If you'd be like me, I brought all my wife's shoes, so I might not have nowhere to go after this. But, it's going to a good cause. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Anything for the chief? No? Then, for the clerk, I guess, are we all set and getting ready for the big day on November 8th?
Yep. Early voting is going to be starting on October 29th, and it's going to be ending November 6th. The East Brunswick Community Center is the closest location to South River, so the hours will be Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and then Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The RFPs will be advertised on the 28th of this month, and the deadline is November 28th. And there's also a special events permit on the agenda for approval for the Portuguese Club. They have their event on October 9th. So all the paperwork is in order, just need the approval from council. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. As far as our legal is concerned, anything to report?
Only that I'm happy to be here tonight, but sorry that the reason, for those who weren't aware, was that Ms. Wyatt had a sudden family medical emergency she had to attend to.
Yes, and I told her, do not come, because she said, well, if I get there, done early, no, stay there.
That was very kind of you, Mayor, and I think appropriate.
Yeah, because it might be, and I forget I keep want to say RSVP, it's the respiratory that's going around with hitting children, and it could be very, very serious, so better to get it done and right now.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. To our BA, hello, sir.
Mayor, just a couple of things. Consent resolution number 265, change order on the roof replacements. That's for a few items that are outside the scope of the project that there was still funding left to take care of. And the other thing was 275, as Bruce brought up, that we were doing the SCADA system. Also included in there is the repair to the transformer that caused the outage a couple of weeks ago. That's it.
Okay, very good. Then moving on to our governing body reports. Welcome back.
Thank you,
Councilwoman
Mr.
Mara.
Mayor. Sorry that I missed the last meeting. I know I have a lot to catch up on. I just want to say, coming from the Environmental Commission, on October 22nd in the morning, I know everybody was preparing for their homecoming parade, but early in the morning, the Environmental Commission had a community cleanup. They helped, along with Saraville and members of our community and the Saraville community, clean up the bridge area alongside the river. 4 members of the Environmental Commission attended. The results ended up in 4 large pickup trucks of trash. And the commission has requested that if we can have DPW anchor down maybe 1 trash can receptacle at the corner of Main Street and Water Street. I know Saraville, they were also going to request on the Saraville side at their next council meeting to do the same. They say it looks like a lot of trash that's thrown out there might be people just throwing out the window, so they wanted to, help out with the people who do walk around there, and if we can add to that, they would be grateful. I know we've also had some requests from the Shade Tree Commission about trimming trees, and also residents who are requesting shade trees. I know we still have some money in our budget for possibly purchasing some trees. We did get about 11 requests from residents. So I was just hoping that since it wasn't in the budget transfer for November 1st to take any money out of the Shade Tree Commission, we'd like to possibly send in a request before the end of the year to be able to plant trees. As you guys know, Richard Byrne is also on the planning board, and he had mentioned that one of the new projects that was going to start out was going to remove over 50 trees in town. So this was just a way of also starting to plant as we're removing them very quickly in our town. And we know that the water runoff is becoming a problem, especially in the areas where it floods. So that was coming from the Shade Tree Commission. The library board, they're having some Halloween festivities down at the library. If anybody has some time this week before Halloween, stop by down there. I know they decorated nicely for the kids. And that's all I have for my commissions right now. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Welcome back. Mr. Gurchetsky.
Thank you, Mayor. This is on the senior scoop on the Office on Aging. They will be closed on Veterans Day and November 24th and 25th to celebrate the Thanksgiving weekend. Those of you who have gotten anything in the mail on your Anchor Property Tax Relief Program, which is basically your old homestead rebate, if you need trouble, or if you're having trouble filling it out and everything too, you could schedule an appointment with the Office on Aging, and they could help you fill it out. You could either do it electronically or by paper. You should have received the application by mail automatically if you were in the Homestead Benefits Program. Also, Social Security is going to increase next year for those of us that are entitled to it, and the benefits are supposed to go up 8.7. Also, DPW had announced that leaf bags are going to be available starting this weekend till November 26th from 8 till 12. Okay, a few things that are going on with the Office on Aging is they are having a craft club for salt dough tree ornaments, which can be eaten. And there's an indoor flea market coming up this weekend, that's Saturday, on November 5th. At 55 Reed Street from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The monthly mingle is on Wednesday, November 16th. And these are prepaid events, so if you can, you have to do it by the first of the month to be able to schedule yourself for a space. Also, the Brain Teasers and Twisters will be on Wednesday, November 30th at the Human Resources Building, which is 55 Reed Street. And that is also a prepaid event. With that, I thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Olivera?
So yesterday, I'll start off with Parks and Rec. We were fortunate enough to have our annual trunk or treat. Want to thank the chief for having the officers there. We had close to 100 children participate, and I just want to thank the following individuals for helping and supporting the program. From the Rec Advisory Board, we had Miss Peggy Blue and Thomas Kiernan, who were judges for the houses and the vehicles. Mayor Krenzel, Councilwoman Mara, and Mr. Lindensky, thank you guys again for attending and helping out. And most importantly, the brain trust behind everything. Terry and Jessica continue to do a phenomenal job with the rec programs. They're open to feedback. If there's anything that you would like to see, please let them know. You know, we got valuable feedback yesterday, and we're going to be making some changes. With the this year, we had 12 houses participate in the Halloween contest, and we had 9 vehicles. The winners for this year's Halloween decorating contest was the Santos resident at 232 Willett Avenue and the Gramada residents at 22 Fairview Avenue. We actually ended up with a tie, so we did the right thing, and both of them, they are co-champions this year. And in terms of the trunk or treat decorating contest, first place was Miss Janine Rodriguez, second place was Michelle Urbanowitz, and third place was Jacqueline Singer. So once again, want to thank everyone for coming out, participating. We continue to grow with the rec programs, and it's something we're really excited about. If you're still looking to get involved in the winter, we have wrestling, basketball. Zumba has already started, but we are accepting late signups, so please make sure you come out and get involved with something. Board of Ed, homecoming was this weekend. It was a great event. Congratulations to the freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior class. They did a great job with their floats. Even though the football team did not win, they do have a consolation game, if I'm not mistaken, next week. Please come out and support them. our boys and girls soccer team have made the state playoffs, so that's starting up at the end of the week. So there's a lot going on in town. Make sure you come out and support them. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Only 100 kids? Seems like a lot more children at the trunk or treat. So I don't know who was enjoying themselves more, the children or the adults. Mr. Zula?
Thank you. EDC met. Our next meeting will be November 30th due to the Thanksgiving holiday. They want to meet with the officials at our next meeting and talk with enforcement, come up with enforcement procedures. I did a walking tour last Sunday with Brian Armstrong on the mansions on Main Street. It was very interesting how the mansions are all there and the years that they were built and the people who lived in them. Very interesting. If you can do it next time around, definitely take the tour. It was about an hour and 15 minutes, and it was very enlightening. Again, the fire department is looking for membership. So if you're interested, please stop down at the firehouse and pick up an application to join up. We are in need of some young people to join up, so please do so. And again, just to reiterate what the fire chief said, the food drive would be Saturday and Sunday, October 29th and 30th from 9 to 3 at the Jackson Street Firehouse. And anybody can donate any non-perishable foods would be greatly appreciative for the food bank. And Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Ballas?
Yeah, as was mentioned, the two food drives coming up, excuse me. If you can't make it to the food drive but would like to support the food bank, donations can be dropped off at the food bank at 98 Jackson Street during the following times. Saturday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., Tuesday from 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m., and also 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., and Wednesday, 8:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. For safety reasons, they are unable to accept donations outside the building at any other time. If you have any questions, you can reach the food bank at 732-238-3020. The Board of Health is still looking for people who want to help organize the Crust on the Pumpkin for next year. It hasn't been done in a couple of years, but they really are reaching out to the residents. If you are interested, you can get in touch with Michelle at the Borough office at 48 Washington Street. And tomorrow I have a Cultural Arts and Heritage meeting, and I'll give you the update on that the next meeting, and that's all.
Thank you. Mr. Kindi?
Thank you. As the director of the DPW mentioned earlier in this conversation, the hydrant flushing is going to start next week, which means there will be a rattle in the pipes that might throw a little tint in your water. Some parts of the town may have brown water. This is because they're flushing out those hydrants. This is why it's happening. So when it does happen, go to the highest point of your house, turn on the cold water, and let it flush out. I know the calls are going to probably start coming in. Police department, get ready. But it's our yearly thing, so expect it. As for the zoning board, tomorrow is a meeting right here at 7 p.m. If you'd like to come out and see what applications are coming before them, please do so. And our next planning board is on November 15th. Thank you. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. I have a number of things to talk about, so I'm gonna wait until our second chance to speak at the end of the meeting. Right now, I know we want to get to the public comments. I know there's some people who want to speak who are living on or around Virginia Street. So I'm going to open it up to the public. You'll have 10 minutes to speak. Please give your name and address. Don't be afraid. We are here. We are your neighbors. We are here to listen to what you have to say. And you can adjust that, bring it down, or hold it if you feel better.
Okay.
There you go.
Hello. My name's Debbie Mateo. I reside at 49 Virginia Street in South River. I've been a resident for 18 years. We wrote a petition up. There's several of us from Virginia Street here tonight who'd like to speak. The petition addresses the need for the safety of our residents in the community when they're on foot and in their vehicles. The speeding on Virginia Street has not just occurred. This has been going on for 18 years, I can speak to from the time I moved in. If the police go into the computer, they'll see how many times I have called to put complaints in. I've had officers come to take a report, and I'm told I need to get a license plate number. But when they're speeding at 80 and 90 miles an hour, I definitely cannot get a license plate number. What I can provide is maybe a color of the car and a make of the model. Okay, and this has gone on for 18 years. There's been no improvements during the time that I've lived here. And unfortunately, on October 15th, we had a loss of life. I don't know what the surrounding circumstances were in that in this incident, but we had a loss of life on Virginia Street. One of our residents who was out walking their dog was almost a side casualty. Okay? I want to preface to give you a visual of the community on Virginia Street and the surrounding areas. We have families whose children play in their front yards. We have seniors who go out walking throughout the day, and all other citizens who go out to exercise, ride their bikes. We have mothers who push baby strollers and walk with their toddlers as they're learning how to ride their bikes. That is a visual of a community where the streets need to be safe. Okay? It is the responsibility of the mayor and council and the chief of police to follow up on this. And unfortunately, it had to come to a point where we had loss of life. We want to see speed bumps on Virginia. Four-way stop signs are not going to help in this community. I don't know how many of you ride within the community of these streets, but people do not pay attention to the stop signs. They just don't. Just yesterday, I had somebody almost run a stop sign. Living here 18 years, I treat every intersection as a yielding if I'm not at a stop sign. I don't proceed because I've had too many occurrences where people have tried to run. Okay? Majority of the homes have driveways, and especially on Virginia Street, when you're pulling out of your driveway, it is very hard to judge because these cars just come up upon you. They whip around corners, so you may look on your left and your right of coming out as you're aggressing out to the street. You don't see anybody, and then all of a sudden somebody is whipping around Brenning, Cleveland, or Colfax, and in a second, you have a car right on your tail. This is very, very dangerous, okay? We're looking for you to evaluate the situation. I don't believe this is something that can no longer wait. This has to be taken care of. We need to feel as citizens and residents that we feel safe, and we don't feel safe right now. Okay, so I know that we have several people here that want to get up and speak. I want to say, to the family that lost life, how horrible that is, and that they're in our prayers. And the other thing I want to note is that Route 18 is going to go under a 4-year construction period, and we have a lot of cut-through on Virginia. They come down Ferris, they hit Brennan, and they come through Virginia to get down to Sayville, then maybe go to the Garden State Parkway. I don't know where they're going when they cut through, but I could just foresee this becoming an extremely increased issue. So whatever it is that has to get done, we should lay the foundation now to proactively make our community safe, because we're going to have many more people cutting through, and it's not just going to be Old Bridge Turnpike. It's just human nature for people to look to go down side streets and see where they can egress to a quicker way. Police presence, unfortunately, Chief, and I mean no disrespect, because I come from a family of blue and have a tremendous amount of respect for officers. We do not see a police presence the way we should on Virginia Street. Okay? With all the complaints and all the concerns, there should be police officers there throughout the day looking. We have cars that race all hours of the night and all hours of the morning. Okay, this needs to be addressed, and the police need to be on Virginia to take care of this. Okay, so I'm really urging you, and like I said, I have a lot of respect. I live in the community. I love it here, but I want it to be safe for my family and for the family of everyone else. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Well said, well said.
Jim Hutchison, Virginia Street, 38 Virginia Street. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Good evening, all the professionals here. Excellent information and presentation from my fellow resident on Virginia Street. I've been a resident of Virginia Street for 8 years now. And Saturday night, October 15th, was just a tragic, tragic night. The accident happened on the corner of my property. For a little fill-in, another driver ran the stop sign, and from all indications, appears was speeding on Darrow and Virginia, heading from like Daly's Pond, heading away from Daly's Pond. The unfortunate victim, Janine Klitsch, 59-year-old woman, was coming down Virginia Street from George, heading to work at 9:22 p.m. And the unfortunate accident occurred in the middle of Virginia. Her passenger side door was hit, T-boned. She spun and then slammed into the utility pole and hydrant on the corner of my property. And she died at the scene. I have to also mention the person who was walking the dog is in our presence tonight, Chief Smith, who pounded on my door as I was coming to the front door from the noise, just to grab his dog, as he was the first person responding to the accident. I want to thank also Michael Clancy, my neighbor, who was also a respondent, who flew over in a T-shirt, shorts, no shoes, no socks, and again tried to help. And my next door neighbor, Marcio, who again came out, and they tried valiantly to do whatever they could. If I can say one thing more about this, it's that in this very, very strange world today, where you really don't feel like safety, there's this, and people are too busy videoing things than getting involved, the community got involved. I have true hope and faith, and thanks for the community in South River who responded. Even people driving down stop were calling 911, etc. Unfortunately, it does not bring Klitsch back, and that's the worst situation that happened out there. And it was totally preventable. Speeding on Virginia Street, I agree, is just an absolute nightmare, as it is in many other sections of the borough. I'm not saying it only happens on Virginia Street. Chief, you know this more than anybody. I see it in my normal routes as the bus driver for the community, for the Office on Aging. It's ridiculous. Even the four-way stop on Cam and Foothills. I was stopped one day. Car goes flying through. The unfortunate thing for them was there was a police officer right behind them. Good for them. Again, this was a tragic, totally avoidable situation on the night of the 15th of October. A resident lost her life. Horrible. That's a mother, that's a grandmother, an aunt. It shouldn't have happened. I agree, we need to have something out there. Now, I do disagree in one phase. I think we need to have four-way stops, not only on Virginia Street, but on Colfax Street, Colfax and Virginia, Darrow and Virginia. And we need to have removable speed bumps. Speed bumps that are there pretty much throughout the year, but we need to be able to remove them during the wintertime so we get good plow service. I would like to have flashing stop signs too. Whatever we can. I'm asking for the world, because if we can get some of it, I'll be happy. And I don't want to hear that the person ran the stop sign, so a four-way stop would not have mattered. Ms. Klitsch is from the town. She was from the town. She may have seen that stop sign coming down Virginia and stopped. And then the person neglecting a stop sign and speeding through would have continued through, and there would not have been a tragic event. But I also agree 100%. There's children. There's people walking dogs. There's senior citizens like myself that are out there walking. I'm cutting my grass, and I turn around and I look sometimes, and there's two BMWs side by side speeding up Virginia, side by side. Now, I didn't realize that we were living at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But again, I hate to say that a tragedy sometimes creates the cause and effect. but we need to have something, because if it happens to anybody in my family, any of my neighbors, it's already happened once. I don't want to see it again. I don't want to see it anywhere in South River. Not on my property, not in my town, not our residents. This is, again, a tragedy that should not have happened, totally preventable. The person that was driving the other vehicle was not from town. So again, they're in a residential area. They should have paid attention. They weren't, for whatever reason. It happened. I want that to be a past note. I don't want to see it happen again. We need four-way stops. We need speed bumps. I want lit signs. I want everything. I want, again, a presence. I know there's been plenty of presence out there, Chief. But again, once you leave, once you remove your signs, they go right back to where they were before. I have security cameras around my house. I see it. I see it all the time. It's unacceptable when the speed limit in town, and everybody needs to pay attention to this if they're listening, they're watching, whatever, is 25 miles an hour throughout the town, except on Old Bridge Turnpike, except when you're heading from South River over to Sayreville on the bridge, and on a certain section of Waitehead. Everywhere else it's 25 miles an hour. There's no reason to go more than 25 miles an hour because it's basically a residential town. Slow down and obey the speed limit signs and obey stop signs, obey traffic signals. That's why they're there. So I'm speaking on terms of everybody in town, and most importantly, I'm speaking on behalf, in my opinion, for the Klitsch family who lost a loved one. Shouldn't happen again. Can't happen again. Not in this town. Not in this town. I didn't sign your petition. I will sign that too. I was probably out trying to tell people to slow down. On a lighter note, I want to say that I've recently watched on the NFL films A Football Life, and I've watched two specific episodes. Football Life of Drew Pearson and A Football Life of Joe Theismann. I think out of all the football life situations, those are the two best. Maybe a little prejudiced because it's, again, South River boys. But I'm originally not from South River. I'm not from New Jersey. I'm from Pennsylvania. But these guys were huge football people, and they're from our town. They're our own. They were excellent, excellent, excellent pieces of film. I want to thank the South River School District for their input, and I certainly want to thank Tom Barra and Rich Dudas, who also were contributing personnel to that because they made that great. Joe on the football field and Drew coming up and joining him, that was a special, special moment for South River. That's what I want to come up and talk about in the future. I don't want to talk about tragic events. Please, please, let's do something. We need something on Virginia Street. We need to stop the carnage. We need to get things settled down out there. Again, thank you to Billy Smith, and thank you for not leaving your house 15 seconds sooner, Billy. Thank you, Mike Clancy. Thank you, Marcio. I want to thank also the responding emergency personnel, with all the police officers, the fire department, and the rescue squad, who, again, everybody was stunned out there at what took place. As a guy who spent 40-plus years in utilities, and I was around hydrants, I was around electric poles and so forth, what I saw out there, I'll never forget. I don't want to see it again. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said, sir. Well said.
Well, I'll say good evening. My name is Ronald Luke. I've been a resident from South River for 22 years. I live across the street from that young man, Jim. Chief Teagan told me I cook at the chili contest. I'm the guy that win. I'm the guy that I will grab Trump by his T-shirt and say, we're going to have a conversation. That young lady died. She shouldn't have to have died. People just don't understand breaking the law. My son-in-law's a police officer. My son retired from the military. I am very deep, obey the law. Four-way stop signs, like Jim said, with lights. Me, as y'all can tell, I'm not from here. I'd put a machine gun on top of my house with a radar, breaking the limit, next. I'm sorry, but that's me. I will take them out. And I'm here to tell you, if they ever hit my grandkids, I won't call 911. I'm going to call the Undertaker. It's just that bad. The next thing, kids ride their bicycles. Unfortunately, they don't see a stop sign and say, okay, let me stop. They run that stop sign. I'm talking about kids 10 years old, 15 years old. I'm talking kids with their parents. And their parents, whoa, 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 whoa. But guess what? The car's coming down the street, it's too late. As far as I'm concerned, that's my kid. I don't care if they're Mexican. I don't care if they live in South River. I don't care if they come from Portugal. My wife is Portuguese. She look at things totally different than me. She's probably asking, where's Ronnie at right now? I'm here to speak my piece. It's very sad that people don't obey the law. That's the sad part about this. They run their stop sign, and not just mine. I'm talking about anywhere you go. I ride my motorbike, I'm very defensive. I'll be looking, I'll be watching, and people probably saying, what is that guy doing? I'm watching out for the guy that's not watching out for me, because I know how to drive. Okay? Me, I invite the police department to sit right there on the corner of my street. I'll cook for them 3 times a day. I don't care. I just want people to understand. Why did that lady die? Well, I don't know if y'all related to her. I'm sorry about that. Why did that lady have to die? 4-way stop sign? People say, 4-way stop sign ain't going to help. Like Jim said, she may have stopped and that guy may have run the stop sign and missed her. We don't know that. We really don't. Can anybody say, yep, she was going to die anyway? Only the good Lord knew that. I can't. The kids, unfortunately, they're the future. And I guess it's up to us to protect. I'll look each one of you in the eye. Every one of y'all. I'll look all of y'all in the eye. I'm not scared about that. If he was here, I'd grab him too. Let's have a conversation. We need to protect the young ones. We need to protect the slightly elderly people. All right? I say that because my beard is whiter than Santa Claus. But the thing is, we need help. We're asking for help. Yeah, the roads are in bad shape. Maybe that's what we can do. Just let the roads do what they're doing. We can use that for a speed bump. Am I telling the truth? All right? Maybe that's what we need to do. Tear it up a little bit more. They won't be going 50 miles an hour. I sit. Jim know me. This young man know me. I got y'all sign in the yard. I cut my grass. And if you only knew how many times I sit by the statue of Jesus and said, what are y'all doing? Why y'all speeding so much? Slow down. I guarantee it's once a week. What we're going to do? Wait for somebody else to get killed? And then say, oh, let's do something? No. Do it now so we don't have to do that. I'm kind of like Jim. I don't want to see that. That young lady died for what? You know, just maybe. Maybe that was the reason she passed away, so we can get this stuff fixed. Maybe that was the good Lord way of saying, hey, you know what? Let's do it. Don't let me have to come right here. All these people right here come right here. Don't let them have to come out here and look y'all in the eye and say, hey, what are we going to do about this? Talk is cheap. Let's get action. I thank you for you. If y'all didn't understand me, I'm happy. I'll say it again if you want. But y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Luke.
Until we meet again.
Is there anyone else on this topic or any other topic on first call, second call, third call?
Motion to close.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gindi, seconded by Mr. Sula. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? The ayes have it. Before we step away from this, Chief, would you like to address as to where this investigation stands? Do we know anything? And please come to the microphone. And you can talk directly to them if you wish. We don't mind seeing your backside.
I can't really talk much about the investigation because the investigation is still ongoing. It's being handled by the Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office. And I would have thought by now that they probably would have released a statement on our behalf as well as the prosecutor's behalf. From my understanding, the toxicology report has not returned yet, so there has been no statement released from them. I will find out first thing tomorrow. Lieutenant will find out for me exactly what is going on with that report. As far as your petition goes, I don't need it. We will take care of it. You have my word. You know, as a police officer, it's a tough job. It's a very tough job. It's very demanding. It's a thankless job. On one end, we might be out there enforcing the laws, and on the other end, we might get don't you have anything better to do with your time than pull over a resident of South River? And that's what we get. And I guarantee you that probably 90% of the people that speed up Virginia and cut down Breading Place to get to West Ferris or Ferris are South River residents. You know, and I agree with you that there is speeding, and speeding will never go away. But we can try to do something to stop it. And we will. Now, whether it's through the 3 E's of traffic safety, which are engineering, enforcement, and education, we will do something. Whether, I know Lieutenant McKenna has a plan in place for the education portion of it, which after this, you can probably go out there and speak with you about it. But there's also parts that we have to do about engineering, about the road. You know, that road is too wide to put a stop sign across it.
There's no white paving lines either.
Exactly,
Distinguished
because
ongoing-
it's too wide.
And they drive on the same side, so if I'm going towards Main Street, they're on the same side going the opposite way, because there are no lines in the street. I fell in a pothole.
We need to fix that.
It's gotta happen, we need it,
We need to fix that.
we need to fix it.
And then, you know, I've also spoke with Councilman Sewell earlier today. You know, it's a wide road. Ratton Street's a wide road. Maybe we need to put engineering out there where we need to put flower pots or something to make the road a little bit more narrower.
Make it a lanes.
Yes. Yeah. So, you know, as far as your concerns, I hear you. We will handle it. I don't need the petition. We will take care of it. You know, starting tomorrow, if you want to speak with Lieutenant Lieutenant.
Yeah, that's who he's talking about. Talking about education, a business owner. At their trucks. I can give you every single name
Okay.
of which businesses.
Okay, we could do that.
Okay. Maybe now, if you'd like to go out there, because we're going to continue with the rest of our meeting. There are no mayoral appointments. There is the consent resolution. Madam Clerk?
Whereas Resolution 2022-01 authorizes the Borough Council to utilize a consent agenda to adopt various resolutions on a routine and non-controversial nature at one time. Now therefore be it is hereby resolved that the below listed resolutions are hereby adopted by the Borough Council in whole as if the same were individually acted upon. Consent Resolutions 2022-263 to 2022-279. 263, approval of a special events permit to the Portuguese Club to be held on October 9, 2022. 264, authorizing the notice of request for proposals for 2023 professionals. 265, authorized change order number 1 for the project known as roof replacement and repairs. 266, transfer of year 2022 budget appropriations. 267, 2022 best practices. 268, approve the employee and personnel manual. 269, property tax refund. 270, renew Central Jersey Health Insurance Fund. 271, authorize electronic tax sale. 272, authorize tax sale notice fee. 273, authorizing certain utility refunds. 274, appoint Matthew Linchinsky as firefighter for the Reliable Fire Company. 275, resolution authorizing change order number 1 for a project known as 2021 electrical substation maintenance. 276, property tax refund for a disabled veteran. 277, property tax refund for another disabled veteran. 278, accepting October 3rd, 2022 regular and executive session minutes. And 279, authorizing the bills and claims list.
Your pleasure on the resolutions.
Approved.
Move the resolution by Mrs. Ballas.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Gerczynski. Roll call.
Councilwoman Ballas?
Yes.
Councilman Gindi?
Yes, with an abstention of 279, which would be the bills is 22-02112 and 02266.
Councilman Gertenski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira?
Yes.
Councilman Olivera?
Yes, with an abstention to 263.
Council President Siula?
Yes, with abstention on 274 and on 279, 22-02112 and 22-02266.
The resolutions have been adopted. There is no resolutions to be read separately, which brings us to the governing body comments. Since I began on one side, I'll begin with Mr. Gindi.
Thank you. As you heard earlier, we have two food drives going on, which is the Cram the Cruiser, which is going to be held Saturday, November 5th, right here at the police department from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then we have a secondary one that's going to be October 29th and 30, which is this Saturday and Sunday, which is a fire department function from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., which is going to be held at the firehouse. That one is to benefit the Thanksgiving, I should say the people that unfortunately don't have the needs of getting anything of that nature to their plates, so please help out. I know we have heard this before, and I'm going to say it again. The kids are out. I say it every meeting. They're out, they're playing, they're riding their bicycles. You got residents walking. Now you have somebody that just passed away over something that was negligent. Please drive safely. I can't stress it anymore. I know how it is. I got two little girls. I go for bike rides all the time. So please follow the law and have a happy Halloween. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mrs. Ballas.
Yes, as Councilman Gindi said, Monday is Halloween, so please be careful of all the trick-or-treaters. I happen to live by a school. I see the children, you know, this did not have to happen, what happened on Virginia Street. We really have to look into making it safer all over the town. Sunday, November 6th, daylight savings time ends. Don't forget to set your clocks back an hour the night before. Don't rely on your TV remote, little thing. And please, on November 11th, remember our veterans, the ones that are here, the ones that have passed. Say thank you to them, the ones that you run into. They deserve our respect. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Seola?
Thank you. Just to reiterate, Halloween is Monday. Please be alert. There's children all over the place. They can be running out in front of you. Stop the speeding. Keep an eye out. Watch out for all the children. Speeding is getting to be a very hot topic in this town, and we got to change that. So please be alert and slow down. And as Mrs. Ballas said, with the time change, that calls for time to change the batteries in your smoke detectors. So don't forget, when you change your clocks, change your batteries in your smoke detectors. And with that, Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Oliveira?
Yeah, as everyone mentioned, Halloween's right around the corner. Make sure you are safe as children are going to be out trick-or-treating. Council President Seula mentioned, making sure that you volunteer for the fire department. If you don't want to do that, there's multiple ways to get involved in our town. If you are interested in serving on a board, commission, or just want to get involved, please stop by Washington Street and get an application. The Rec Advisory Board, I believe, has 2 positions open that we still need to fill, and I'm sure there's other commissions in town that need to get some great volunteers. November 8th is Election Day. Please make sure everyone exercises their civic duty and vote. And happy, not a happy, but Veterans Day again is November 11th. Thank you to everyone that served. Mr. Gerczynski, thank you for your service, and anyone in the audience that served. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Gerczynski?
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I'd like to thank all of our emergency responders, especially the police department, the fire department, and Robert Wood for the incident and everything, because you can't justify the amount of thanks that these guys and the amount of work that they do and the response. I'm speechless as far as that goes. You know, like I said, I'd like to thank them all for taking care of us in one way or another, whether it's in emergency services, keeping our town clean and healthy and presentable as best as we can. With that, you know, like I said, Halloween's upon us. There's a lot of parked cars in the street. Please be extra observant. Children can step out at any time at all, whether they be walking or riding a bike or walking a dog. It doesn't make any difference. With that, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Mara.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I have a question, since we've been speaking about these larger streets in the area and kids and people walking. I know there's a small portion of our town that that residents don't have sidewalks. Do we think, this would be a question for Mr. Koch, do we think that, like with the Safe Routes and Safe Streets program or any of those types of funding, that we could look into assisting like small portions of our town with walkability, with sidewalks, improving it in that aspect?
Yes, I do, and I don't think it even has to be the safe routes to schools. In years past, the trust fund allocates 10% of the funding for sidewalk. So as part of your road programs, you could roll that in and see if it gets funded as well.
Because Virginia Street does have a large portion of it that also doesn't have a sidewalk. And I'm just wondering, since it's something, and we want to be extra cautious, and residents might want it and want the assistance of putting it, that being a possibility to improve the safety in our town. I know there's Virginia Street. I know up towards like, what is it, Sunset, or that area of town by Leonardine, there's a lot of areas that don't have sidewalks. Just a thought of when we're looking for funding, if we reach out to residents and they know a program like this exists, if we can improve it in that way. Any way to keep kids and people off the streets, especially when we're so concerned about speeding. So just something to think about in the future. Going into my comments, I do want to ask the council, I wasn't here at the last meeting, so I do want to know if you guys read the proposal that the Shade Tree Commission emailed to everyone regarding the tree fund ordinance. I know that was emailed. I don't know if you guys put that into the agenda session while I was away. Did you guys look into it?
Andrea was actually looking into it, if I'm
Yeah,
not wrong.
sent it to her.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I want to know if you all read it.
Yeah, we went through it. yeah.
Okay, because with that being changed so drastically the way it was the last time, there's a large amount of funding that would have gone into the tree fund that we are missing. And as I say, some plans are going ahead in this town, and we're removing excessively the trees in town. We talk about flooding, we talk about all the money we spend in stormwater, and the loss of just having nature do what it's supposed to do when it's absorbing water from our town, and we're not preserving it the way it should be. So please look into this. I'm hoping that something could possibly be in the next agenda. These are things that the Shade Tree Commission is deeply looking into, because as people want to remove trees, many people want to put some in. So we're looking to get that done this year and continue with a plan in the future. October's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I want to thank the Pop Warner community for their commitment in assisting our youth in recognizing breast cancer awareness. This year, one of our football moms was recognized at the homecoming game on Sunday, and we showed our support to her as she's going through her fight with cancer. So thank you for Pop Warner for making our small community feel like a family. Happy Halloween, everyone. Please be careful. And as kids are out and about, I do want to remind everyone to have your little ones wash their hands. The flu is going around now at school. My kid is home this week with the flu. I'm sure my other two will get it eventually, so just wash your hands and remind them that it is flu season. I also want to mention that I do see the construction work wrapping up at Fitzy's Park. However, the flooding continues to happen on the basketball court. If you look at it now, that it's cement, you can see the orangey goo that continues to be on there because there's no drainage. So the Shade Tree Commission also recommended, if they could, to do a rain garden in that area by the electric over there where there's a lot of runoff. But I've mentioned probably 5 years in a row that the water and the pastiness of Fitzy's doesn't look like water. It is silky, it is gooey, and I know we removed, the best thing we did was remove those swings from there because at least kids aren't jumping in the mud now, but the problem still remains. So I thought, from my understanding with that improvement, we were going to do some type of drainage by the court.
Mr. Lundensky?
Yeah, Councilwoman, we're just waiting for supplies. You know what the supply chain issues are. Department of Public Works is going to do it themselves. We're just waiting for the pipe and a couple other things. We're going to put in drainage piping ourselves.
Okay, because we're already ruining the cement over there. Hopefully
We're going to
that'll...
take care of that, too.
Okay. And that's all I have. I hope everyone stays safe until our next meeting, and that's all I have.
Thank you. A number of things that I just wanted to bring up. In no particular order, if you saw my Facebook page, it was a very busy weekend. And I urge people, you know, they complain that, oh, well, there's nothing to do in South River. Well, if you have your nixles on your Facebook pages, you'll find out of the various things that are going on. For example, Councilman Oliveira and I went on a tour of Edgeboro, that great big landfill. There's people affectionately call it Mount Edgeboro. 110 feet it rises above the marshlands of the South River and the Raritan River. And I have to tell you, it is quite an impressive place. We're very impressed by it, how they have put it together, how they're working at it, how they're stretching out its life. Very interesting. From there, I jumped over to Homecoming. You didn't have to go to the game. You could just have watched the parade. Again, a chance for South River to come together. The trunk or treat was fun, even though it was raining. All the little kiddies were having a ball. Come to think of it, some of the parents were having a ball too. It was fun just to get together and come, and you can do it. I asked somebody that I know, why are you here? Because where their house is, they don't get trick-or-treaters. So they go there, and they enjoy handing out the candy to the kids. I missed the walking tour. I wanted to go on it. But again, learn about South River and the history that is there. Interesting things to do. Also, by knowing what goes on in South River, you will be reminded that come next week until mid-November, the fire hydrants are going to be flushed, which means don't do your whites. Make sure the water is running until it clears up. So that's coming up. It's a yearly thing. It's a good thing. So it scrubs the pipes there. I know I'm going to mess up his name, but congratulations to Officer Bernie Maciel on graduating the Command and Leadership Academy. It's another addition to our very good police department there. On Virginia Street there, the police are looking into it. The prosecutors, because it was a motor vehicle accident resulting in a death, they are looking into it. But the fact is, the police cannot be everywhere. And we are going to look into that, four-way stops, possible speed bumps there. But it comes down to people. if they're not going to obey the signs, the regulations, these things are going to happen. And the 2 BMWs racing on Virginia, that's just waiting to happen. So please obey the law. There was a fire on Main Street. A lot of complaints on social media. Don't complain. Join the fire department. Then get inside and make the changes that you can. I'm sure that our chief there would not mind having a few more people there. And by the way, it's good to see you there. It's because from what I understand, you almost checked out there. But he and Mr. Gindi and Mr. Sula and so many others, this Saturday is 10 years since Superstorm Sandy came. On Saturday, I went over to the Sayreville Historical Society, had an exhibit, a remembrance of Sandy. I can see why it took them 10 months, because they went and they interviewed individual people, got pictures of Sayreville before and Sayreville after. Before, you see a house. After, you see a vacant field. It was quite something. The person introducing everybody, her voice broke down. Mayor O'Brien got up to speak. His voice cracked, and I didn't stay for it. It was not a good remembrance, but I always say, thank the good Lord. I was surrounded by good people. My first year, not even a complete year as mayor, I discovered that being a mayor does not come with a book. There's no place that you can go and just read, apocalypse. Where do you go? What do you do? But I was blessed with good people. 7 o'clock on that Monday, they shut down the power because they didn't want the transformers to blow. Within 48 hours, people were already getting their power back. By Thursday night, 90 to 95% of the people had power. That Friday, the whole town attitude had changed. There was heat, there was light. We could go out to forage for food. How close we came to a true disaster. We almost ran out of gas. You need pumps to pump the gas. New Jersey did not have pumps that were working. We almost ran out of gas. And what a mess that would have been. We wouldn't have been able to heat our homes even if we had electricity. We are still recovering. We lost over 100 homes. That's 100 tax base that we don't have. We're dealing with the Blue Acres. We still don't own the property. The state owns it and is telling us what to do with it. But again, I feel very blessed with the good people that I had that helped us get through that. And definitely we came back, because we are Ram strong. A lot of things are coming up. Halloween on the 31st. Watch out for the kiddies. We're going to be changing our time, and we will be doing that before the big day of, November 8th. I always quote Mario Como when he said, "This should be our high holy day." This is a day when you, the average person, gets to tell the government what to do. If you don't know what's going on, there are Facebook pages, there are websites. You can find out what's going on. And of course, along with all the little children coming out, you'll see the candidates. Most likely they're wearing a button and they're saying, "Vote for me." Bend their ear. Tell them what's going on. Tell them what you think. And then you make your decision. Also during that week, it will be Veterans Day. Veterans Day, we honor the veterans who are alive. Memorial Day, those that have passed away. But Veterans Day, I believe, I have not been officially told, but normally the 11th month, on the 11th day, at the 11th hour, we will have a little ceremony at our museum at 64 Main Street. So, you're welcome to come down. It's one of South River's, best kept secrets there. So our next meeting will be on the 14th of November. Having said all of that, we are now going to go into executive session. When we reconvene, we're just going to adjourn. Nothing else will be happening. The chief, I know, wants to talk to us about personnel. Madam Clerk?
2022-280, whereas Section 8 of Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, permits the exclusion of the general public from a meeting of the governing body under certain circumstances, and whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of South River are of the opinion such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it, and it is hereby resolved by the mayor and council of the Borough of South River in the county of Middlesex of the state of New Jersey, that the public be excluded upon the hereinafter specified subject matter, and that such subject matter to be so discussed is as follows, which is personnel. Be it further resolved that such record of the above discussion will be made public when confidentiality is no longer required.
Your pleasure on the
Motion.
resolution. Resolution by Mr. Gindi, seconded by Mrs. Ballas. Roll call.
Councilwoman Ballas?
Yes.
Councilman Gindi?
Yes.
Councilman Krasinski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira?
Yes.
Councilman Olivera?
Yes.
Council President Siula?
Yes.
We shall return. To open by Mr. Gindi, seconded by Mr. Olivera. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? The ayes have it. Remember to lower your chairs before you leave. Is there anything else to come before us?
Motion to
Hearing
adjourn.
none.
Second.
We got a trio here. How about if we have Mrs. Ballas do it then? Mrs. Ballas has made a motion to adjourn, seconded by Mr. Kuczynski. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? The ayes have it. We stand adjourned.